Hi, submarine friends. Well, I'm waiting for my wife to return from town, and she's got a couple of pieces I need to continue with my air system. So what I've got so far is I've got a manifold built, so the air line that goes from the compressor pump comes out, goes into a check valve. I'm not sure if you have to have a check valve, but I don't want to rely on the check valve situation in the pump. So I've installed a check valve in the manifold. Then from the manifold, the air sends, or it distributes air to the air pressure gauge that'll be in the instrument panel, along with air supply to the forward and aft ballast tanks, and I need an air supply for my seat. So it's a bunch of plumbing, but I actually enjoy that part. Just a pity I'm missing pieces, so I'll have them in an hour or so. So while I was out in my big cabin cruiser boat scavenging for parts, that thing is a gold mine. I got all these control cables to control the valves. Fantastic. That boat just, it's the gift that doesn't quit giving. So it's got a mile electrical wire in it too that I need. It's got a whole bunch of 3/4 inch cooling lines that I need, so I'm pretty happy about that. So anyways, I came across a box full of these big aluminum pieces here, and I think they have something to do with the aluminum trailer walking beams for the rollers, but I really don't know, and I really don't care. But there's a whole box of these. They're about 3/4 by 1 inch aluminum bars. So you're wondering, well, big deal. So you got some aluminum bars. Well, rust prevention. This is my rust prevention. So my variable ballast tank has a very thick bottom, 7/16 thick, so I'm not worried about that ever rusting out in my lifetime. But the walls and the top lid are 1/8 carbon steel, so that will rust out. It will take years and years to do so, but I can slow that down by putting sacrificial anodes in there. Now you can use magnesium or you can use aluminum. And I'm getting conflicting reports. I tried ChatGPT and it says aluminum is actually better unless it's brackish water. I'm not in brackish water. So you use a different material for salt water, I think it's zinc, and you use magnesium or aluminum for fresh water. Aluminum apparently is not as good for my original research, but it still works. So buying magnesium anodes is quite expensive, but I've got a ton of aluminum here. So I'm just gonna grind these to get rid of all the corrosion that's on the surface. And I think that's what they talk about when I was researching this, is that this gets a layer of, I don't know what you want to call it, on the surface, and then it stops working. So you have to periodically clean it. But that's no big deal. I can do an annual, take the lid off the tank and unbolt these and clean them up and put them back in. So like I said, I'll just grind them clean, bolt them in, couple of bolts in there, weld the bolts right to the tank, and that'll help with corrosion. And I'm also going to bolt some in the forward and in the aft ballast tanks. I'm not going to try to do a fancy epoxy paint or anything like that in there. I'm not going to live long enough to rust this thing out, so I really don't care. When I'm finished with this submarine, no one's going to want to buy it. I'll just scuttle it in a lake somewhere and people can use it for a dive site. So anyways, that's what the aluminum is for. I'm pretty pleased about that. Actually, there's probably a lot of project potential with these aluminum pieces as well. I use aluminum quite a bit. So actually, as I look at this, I could even probably make my handles for my cables out of this stuff. Anyways, that's what's going on. Rust prevention, waiting for parts.